Should I have put my name?
Listen, we're live now. Welcome to the In the Money podcast
What's up?
with my boy Jeremy Chen,
Let's do it. I'm excited.
aka the Worm.
Yeah, I decided to put the Worm. My real alias is Jeremy Chen, but people know me as the Worm here in Cleveland. I figured it was appropriate based on my nickname in the poker world. I'm not proud of it because obviously the movie Rounders and whatnot. But if you've seen that movie,
is that where it comes from?
No, in fact, it's not. But what's interesting is it was my basketball nickname, and when everyone met me in the poker world in Cleveland, it was kind of fitting because the movie had launched and people were interested to find out. It's kind of like an intimidation poker name to have the Worm. They were kind of like, damn, I wonder if it is poker, but it was actually from basketball. My coach gave me the nickname, so yeah.
Hey, funny enough, man. How did you even get into poker? Like, what was how'd you get introduced to that?
It's interesting that you asked that. It was originally my grandfather would have, these family poker games, and he was always gambling. My grandfather, whether it was horse tracks or poker, and he would always take me to these events. And I always had a fascination with cards, like magicians, and he knew a lot of magic tricks, and he would show me, the cards, and then he would buy me a deck, and I'd be shuffling them, and then I'd see these guys playing poker. And I really had a good understanding, even as a child, of what you should and shouldn't do with 2-card games, whether you had 4 cards in your hands, 5-card. They played rummy, everything, and it was just one of those eras where that's what they like to do, is shoot cards. And so I just picked up early, and finally, when I got into college, I heard actually about your house game was one of like the more serious games I ever went to, and my heart was racing. I think I only had like $150 in my pocket at the time, and they took me to the game, and I remembered I was hooked because if you remember the first time I came to your game, I killed everybody because I was playing untraditional poker. I was theatrical at that time, and I was
no one could read you. No one knew what you had.
Yeah, and that's when I kind of knew that like the game was in its adolescence. So like, what I knew, I felt like I already had an edge, whereas like the game hadn't really been exposed in a way that it is now. And there was definitely some type of competitive edge back then with just being yourself, and it always is that way. If you're yourself at the table, I think those who are themselves thrive in the game. And people who try to go outside themselves and do things like that, they're stretching, and then they end up in bad places. So, yeah, I mean, the game is still as crazy as I remember it being. But, yeah, it was actually one of your games that really got me, wanting to go back for more. And it was the most competitive place to play poker. I definitely know that. And, I mean, that was really, pre-casino era. That was where you had to find a good game, was a good house game. So, yeah,
it's funny. I don't know. I still hear that the house games are still going in Cleveland, even though they have the casino. Funny enough, but the casino came in. Now, have you played downtown?
I played downtown, and what's ironic is I play less house games now. It's not necessarily like the thoughts of the shade that happens at a house game, whether it's a fixed dealer, whether it's a robbery, there's all these different negative feelings that, come with house games. Because if you're in the history of poker out here in Cleveland, that the house games run great when they're running. But there's times where these shady individuals from all over the earth end up, filtering through there, and there's nobody, checking, people's, background check, and finding out, who's doing what. And so there's that element to the house games. Now,
what I always found fascinating was whether it's a house game or the casino, you meet such an array of people like at the table. Like you could be sitting down with lawyers, cops, judges, drug dealers, stick-up kids, people who just work like, mechanics. Like you can just sit down and it's it's not one-sided to where it's like, oh, only these type of people play.
It's the
Which I always
chemistry of
found
poker that
crazy.
people aren't talking about. You know, I mean, that's what the chemistry
Mm,
you want to go feel at the game. It's not just the cards. And some people don't understand that. You know, it's like it's kind of like a social club, but
mm.
you know that social club comes with a mixture of people, and I think that's what brings attraction to the game is the diversity on the tables, and not to mention that you know there's all types of money in that stratification of people, so it makes the game a little bit more interesting to play with when you really don't know people's financial setting or their background, and you try to assume, and then you know sometimes that's where you get into trouble as well. Is you have thought wrong that they're not calling you down with you know a 7-5 offsuit all in because they just don't give a shit, and so you can't just judge a book by a cover. We know that, especially in Cleveland, you definitely know that, and you know you gotta be conscientious of all walks of life. You know, no matter how down someone is, you know, on that table, it's only a matter of time before you're them and they're you. They got their chip. They got your
Oh,
chips. You know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny enough because me and you both are in business, and it's
Yeah.
been such a long time since I mean, even in when I started business with the restaurants with Panini Joe, you
Yeah.
know, I literally stopped playing cards like that day. Like I didn't touch cards for years. But it's funny, I never really told anybody about my past playing cards and doing all that, whatever it is, running games, and because it has this negative thing. But what I've realized is that there is a direct correlation to why and how I do business is the same almost as me playing cards.
Yeah.
And isn't that so? I find that like fascinating that like there is this correlation to what I did in my past to what I love to do now.
Well, you know, let's get down to it, and you know,
Yeah.
we've talked about this a lot, and it's one of those things where like you don't want people to know about your poker game in business sometimes because you feel like there's this feeling where there's the financial you look like a financial psychopath in your decision making based on the fact that you may be quick to you know make an executive decision that flunks the entire bank account and
Mm.
you made an irrational business move based on you playing irrational poker but you know that's the thing is like you can never portray to someone exactly what it is from poker that has benefited your business based on the fact that your the times people like to judge you is based on your losses, not your wins. And so
Mm.
they would never go, "Oh my God, he's a great businessman because he knows, you know, he can win here." And they don't ever see that. They go, "Oh, he went all in and he lost the one hand, and he was out of the tournament." And so they figure, "Hey, oftentimes they're very judgmental. People on this planet are judgmental to the point where, you know, you have made quality moves throughout 90% of the time, and they go that 10% of the time you made a bad decision, they go, oh, that guy's high risk. But that's not the case. If
Oh,
they could only
true.
really know your real poker strategy and see how tight you really are and how that would play off in business and how really nickel and dime you are to where you weren't calling with even an ace jack in a certain situation, but they might not know that. And so oftentimes I feel like, yeah, people don't want to show that side because there is the high chance of failure within the game. And we poker players really know that there is a high chance of failure, you know, and the thing is, it's kind of like a baseball batter. And if you're not showing the championship ring every single time, they're thinking, well, what you're just gambling. So that's where I finally decided to say, screw it as well. And you know what? People are going to either love you or they're going to hate you, but you better just come right and live in the light no matter what. And if that's just being yourself and playing some poker, they might find out as you progress in this thing or you place in a couple tournaments like, oh, this guy makes power decision moves and start respecting that game. So I used to dread it, but then when I took on some software that took investments and they would Google me, and the first picture you see is me with poker chips in Cleveland's poker casino, and that's the first thing you see, they sometimes have told me that, hey, at least they have a guy who's out there trying to win. And if it's not trying to win and he is winning, it means something. And it doesn't necessarily mean you're high risk. It means that you have a competitive spirit in you. And that's where I'm at with it. Is I have a really competitive spirit, and it's one of those places you can truly go compete, and you're all for yourself. You don't have to worry about your teammates fumbling the bag, and it's on you. And it's a great game because it has, monetary rewards, and not a lot of games that you want to play are even fun if they don't have some type of reward. And that reward system to me is like enough to be, hey, I'm comfortable. And if those who have never sat in a poker room or they're not comfortable in a poker room, you're crazy. Because when I go in there, I feel my grandfather. I don't know about you. Do you feel some type of like energy from your past or people that had represented the game to you? Do you feel that walking in these places? We can't hear you, Mike. Mike will be right back with us here. Yeah, we sometimes have these technical difficulties, but it ain't anything, But some of the nostalgic feelings that I felt when I stepped into these worlds of poker, we can probably hear you now, but one of the feelings is the feelings of your house game. Sometimes I look for that to see if it has that nostalgic feeling, before I play, because I don't want to play in some dumpy ass room. I'm sure if those who play poker, you want to go to the hot spots now, and go to the casinos with, good action. And if anybody's listening outside of Cleveland, Ohio, you come up to this poker room in Cleveland. And what I mean by that poker room is, anybody in the surrounding area. It doesn't have to necessarily be the casino, but I'm saying anywhere in Cleveland, Ohio, you step into a poker world out here, you better have some serious game, because every single person at that table is a wolf. A wolf.
Yeah.
So
that's crazy. Yeah, can you hear me now?
I can hear you now.
Okay, good. Yeah, it's crazy because like some of the best players, I've played everywhere. I played in Vegas, I played in Indiana, I played in Tunica, I played, riverboats, Florida, and like some of the toughest players are like grinding it out in Cleveland. It is truly like that movie Rounders. Like it really is, which is crazy. Like tell me about like, do you have any movie?
It's tough, man. It is. It's tougher than that movie. You want the money out of there, or when you're sitting down, you better have yourself not only a strategy, you better be on high alert. And if your brain isn't on that day, don't even show up, because you have every strategy in the book in that house. And even the women are super strong players there. So it's like, and I don't mean to sound like women are ever inferior in that way, but I'm just saying, in a lot of poker rooms across the United States, the woman would be eaten up in our house. And it's just, I wish there was a way that they had like almost like an NBA where they had, the best poker players from every place compete. The
all-star games.
Yeah, the all-stars, right. And we probably have a few people on the roster representing that. And it's just, it would be hard to even design that roster here just based on how many good players and how many just sharks are on that table. But it's a great game out here, man. It's very highly competitive. I think that's one of the times I decided to actually live in Cleveland, as I was like, man, I go to other cities and I don't get the same rush in poker. I don't even feel like I'm playing, honestly. In other cities, I sometimes go there and it's actually boring. And I do some of the moves that some of the old timers taught me, and it just feels like, oh my God, man, it's truly taking candy from a baby in some of these other cities. So watch out for us. You cut out again, Mike. All right. We're back to our technical difficulties, but have no fear, people. Mike Gabriel and Jay Chen are here. If this is the first time you're tuning in, you might want to turn the volume up and let's get cranking and let's get to the bottom of this, because this is going to be one of those things where, you spend some time with us in this mix, you might end up popping for some big cash too. Even the guys in the industry who have already been, making money in this and doing this a long time. There's a lot of guys in the game I think of that are some of the strongest players in the land. Big shots out to Yofi. Big shots out to Egypt, huge player. Big shots out to, the monsters. Rest in peace to Dominic. Dominic.
Oh man, yeah.
Yeah. If you're from the Cleveland area and you know about Dominic was one of the guys who he's like from the movie Rounders for some reason. Like there's only so many people in the world that have that movie-esque type of feeling. But every time he spoke, you were listening to a real one in the game. And he's been there, done that kind of guy. And all right.
With you saying that, I'm on this new run, right? And I want to go from 0 to winning a bracelet, a title, something. I want to win something big. Don't we all, right? I want to go from $0 and go to the max. And thinking about that, even this morning, I posted something and I thought about my boy Tom Reaney. And Tom loved poker. That's how I met Tom.
Oh, for real?
Was at a game, and he mentored me for a long time, and then he passed away, and I was like, it was a tough one, but I said, Tom, I'm winning this for you, Tom.
Yeah,
I'm bringing home a bracelet for Tom because me and Tom actually went out to Vegas and we played some WSOP games out there.
Oh, nice.
And we played in some satellites to get to the main event as well. So that's the goal, man. That's what I want to do.
It sounds great on paper, though. Listen, I'm gonna say it sounds great on paper, but within that algorithm, you got to account for the fact that a couple losses down the road or something, you might have to face the public and people and let them know this has been real and you're back to point 0. So how many times are you willing to go back to point 0 to go do it again? Yeah. And then are you willing to expose the times that those losses really kicked your ass? And I think you should.
Absolutely. I think that's what makes it real, and that's what makes it raw, right? So the lucky enough, I'm living in Florida, and they have these tournaments at restaurants that allow me to play for free and have a chance to win $100 to $200 per night. They're like sit and goes. So here's the plan. And you tell me what you think of it. You tell me where it's flawed.
Okay.
So my plan is to take right now I've won 1 tournament out of 3.
Okay.
So tonight I'm going to go play again. And
this is a free roll, right?
These are free rolls. So I'm up $100 right now. Okay. So the goal is to get to 300. Once I can get $300 from these free tournaments, I'm going to take it. I'm going to go to a 1-2 cash game.
Okay.
Now in the 1-2 cash game, I'm going to sit with 300, but I don't plan on losing 300.
No one does. And that's what I'm saying.
No one does.
You have to be prepared for all angles, even embarrassment here live in front of people,
Absolutely. In fact, I bought this small camera.
Okay.
And I'm gonna put it at the table while I play to record the hands I play and document the journey. I'm gonna take it tonight with me.
Nice.
So I did this like 6 months ago, and I got up to 2,500, and then I moved, and then I stopped playing. Now, how I was doing it, I was taking the 300. I would make 100 or 2. It would turn into 500. And my goal is the next jump for me would be 1,000. So the first goal is going to be $300. I get to 300, take it to 1-2. I play 1-2 cash until I get to 1,000. Now at 1,000, doesn't mean I have to stop playing the free rolls. So I still might play the free rolls for extra monies here and there. But get the cash game money up to 1,000, and then start playing multi-table tournaments with $100 buy-ins, $150 buy-ins that cash out 5,000 to 10,000.
Okay.
Right. So the goal is, as I'm playing the tournaments for the 150, I'm still going back to the cash game and building that bankroll so that it supplements the tournaments.
Hey, that sounds like a winning program. And
it does.
It sounds exciting. It sounds exciting. And I know you can do it. I mean, those who don't know, Michael Gabriel acts like, he's coming back to poker like someone who's just rusty and shooting their sort of jump shot. But let it be known, guys, Michael Gabriel's within the names that I was mentioning above, which is like the true sharks, is that on Mike's best day, nobody is flooring Mike, because his game is so all over the place, crazy, that at times that you think he's playing conservative, he's really loose, and at times he's loose, you think he's being conservative. So, there is one of those things about Mike's game that is so dangerous, and everybody in Cleveland knows it, that when they talk about the best guys, if you don't have him in your mix, you got nothing coming. In fact,
let's go.
Yeah,
let's give me my props. Come on, Jeremy. How much money I owe you for that? Let's go.
I'm going to give you the flowers where they're deserved. Everybody knows that, and so like we wouldn't. I wouldn't just say that, and I'm not trying to. I'm never trying to suck anybody's. Blah blah blah. It's just that I'm trying to keep it 100 with people that play the game or that know the game, is that, yeah, they haven't seen him on the tables in a while, but they know that if all the players in Cleveland that know each other sat down at a game, they know if they're at your table, every move on your side is to be watched, because you're exposed.
And that's why I believe without a shadow of a doubt that, okay, winning a big tournament like WSOP title, WPT title, okay, it not only gonna take skill, but it's gonna take some luck. I gotta get lucky somewhere, and I understand that, but that doesn't mean I can't go far, and I know I can go far. So that's why I think I'm excited about this journey, because as I go through it, I mean, I tested it 6 months ago, and just going from $0 to 2,500. I mean, no, that's not like a ton of money, but I literally went from nothing, like $0. I don't even know how I got to the 25. I mean, I know how I did it, but it's kind of what I showed you. But once I hit 2,500, I knew I had the momentum to hit those bigger tournaments to get.
Show them how it's done. Show them how it's done. Let me ask you. So, what kind of duration are you thinking about in the time period, like from a zero, like to your race to a band, let's say? What were you trying to do time wise to get that done? Are you talking about a course of a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks?
Yeah. So right now these free rolls, they happen every day, right? So if I was extremely aggressive,
where are these at? These free rolls?
Man, they are at they're about an hour. No, they're at restaurants. They host restaurants, and you can look it up. It's called Orlando Hold'em. And you go and you have a chance to win $100, $200 every night you could play. So I'm not being aggressive to where I'm playing every night. I'm playing Thursdays, Fridays, and Saturdays.
Yeah.
So even just that, if I wanted to be more aggressive, I could play every day and I would get there quicker.
Okay.
But I'm a third of the way there. I've played 3 games. I'm going to play tonight. If I hit tonight, tonight is a $200 night. So if I hit tonight, that's my $300. I then go the opposite way, which I'm in the middle. So I'm in Florida, but the place where I'm at, there's an hour to the casino to the left and then an hour to the free rolls to the right.
Wow.
So right now I'm driving an hour to play these free rolls. And then once I get my 300, I'm going to the left and I'm going to go to the Hard Rock Casino and I'm putting 1-2 playing. And funny enough, I spoke to Harry Binda is down here, which he said he would hop on this podcast. And he said he moved to Tampa because there's so much action here.
I've heard a lot about that because a lot of guys from Cleveland and a lot of girls from Cleveland I heard were down there in Tampa. I wanted to play. I think I went to Hollywood or something. Is it down there in Tampa? Or
Hollywood.
I went to Hollywood back then, but that was the only one I shot at. But listen to us both coughing, man. Guys, get your vitamins and your all your immunity boosters. Get those going this year, guys, because you get sick in this city one time, it's over. I mean, you feel like you're sick all year. So
yeah, I know. But that's funny you say that, because part of this, when I think about this journey, it's more of a lifestyle, right? Yeah. Like I want to be at my peak game. I'm exercising more. I'm doing cardio. I changed up my diet. Like I'm doing all these.
That's what good poker is about. And people don't know that. It's about lifestyle. Like the guys who are winning, they're usually guys who have better lifestyle choices. And it's not to say all the time. There's probably the guy who's smoking cigars and old as hell who gets in there and he got all the luck in the world, and that's great. But the guys who are competing at the top game and the top performance, you can just tell they're smart decision makers, and usually you can tell that by people's health.
Mm. Yeah, I have to be sharp, man. I have to pay attention. Like I have to be aware. Even when I'm out of hands, I gotta be in it. So I'm excited because I know it's gonna hit, and when I get there, I want you to come join me in some tournaments, man.
For sure.
And we can knock them down together.
I was talking about igniting that way, and I have a fear too of letting the people in business know that, hey, I'm going to be going this path and avenue. But if I could, pick one profession in the world, it might have been poker player if it was only one, right?
Yeah.
The good thing about life, you get to choose a lot of things. And, it's proven over time that this is a hobby that has long durations in it. And it's not something that, if I do lose my money, I like losing it to the guys I'm playing with, to be honest. I know that sounds crazy, but it's like a loss on the poker table doesn't feel as bad as it does when you're playing blackjack and you lost your money to the house.
Listen, for years, I've been trying to figure out a good hobby for myself. And I feel like I've been latching on to everybody else's hobby, but a hobby that I like, right? So, Matt's into guns. I'm like, okay, let's get into guns. And I think it's guns. And then I have another cousin, he's into golf. And I'm like, all right, let's get into golf. And there's something missing about it for me. There's no love. There's no love for the game. But funny enough, I started playing, back then 6 months ago, and I fell back in love with the thrill of it. And I thought to myself, I was like, man, I have a hobby that I love to do. On top, it makes me money. Right. Everybody else's hobby is costing them. Matt is costing them a bunch of money. Golfing is costing you a bunch of money. But I have an opportunity to do what I love and make money. That's two things that I love the most. Business, I love making money, and I love the cards.
Yeah, and that's real. And I respect that. And I think everybody who hears that would respect that. And, I think people could definitely say, knowing you, that you're a winner in the game, whether that's relatively true for yourself or not, no one ever knows. But from a perception wise, you're a winner in the game. And so that's half the battle, is you're not going to try to floor the guy who wins, and if you do try the guy who floors you that wins, it usually means that you got the nuts to even try that. And that's a good sign for you that you already have a little edge right there. But I think that, you stick to being yourself and doing your thing. Everyone knows you'll probably hit those quotas and then some. But I'm anxious to see what you got. I mean, it's been a while. Are you going to record tonight the game that you're going to?
Yeah, I'm gonna record tonight the game.
Where can we find the stream, or where can we see it?
So I won't do the stream because it might be boring, right? I thought about do you stream it live and but I'll be playing for hours, even the free rolls, I'm there 3 hours easy. So I was gonna do a maybe even a time lapse of me playing and all the cards that come through, and see what cards I'm playing, see what cards I don't. Maybe even just chopping it up too. So record the whole thing and chop up all the good moments and go from there. But it's going to be on, so I plan on putting it on definitely Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, all of the channels. I posted a short video on this TikTok I have. I was like, look, I'm coming back 6 months. I've been off. I'm coming back 0 to a bracelet. And I looked at it a couple hours ago, and it had 1,800 views. And I'm like, damn, who wants to listen to my ass?
Those who are looking to get some wins, man. Talk to the winners out here.
Yeah.
But it's been a pleasure, man. I mean, look, I'm going to follow you. I'd love to be back on your show again. I'd love to touch base and see where you are with that. Try to follow up with that content quickly. After you go play tonight, win, lose, or draw, even if you get knocked out the first hand, let us see what really happened,
Yeah, that's the only way this is going to be real and authentic. It's the only way that, ultimately, funny enough, there is more, I listened to this quote, there is more business in the business of poker than there is actually playing the game. So my hope is to not only make money, but also teach
Sure.
like how I play and like get people to win. Because ultimately, man, when you think about the guys who, play the house games and like
Yeah.
they're getting pummeled on by their friends, it's only a few small tweaks that they need that they'll kill everybody.
Yeah.
So
And
especially a house.
sometimes their game is actually stronger outside that circle too. Like they take that game
Ooh.
elsewhere where they don't know that person's game, then they're a real firecracker. Because I noticed a couple times after I played, in the surroundings with you guys, and then I'd go elsewhere. And again, that's why I feel confident about our city. It's like, man, I feel like they gamed us up to like everybody, his consciousness in the game is rising. And so it's like when you take that type of elevated game elsewhere, it's almost like you're playing varsity basketball versus JV because they don't even know. I'm betting out of turn as a move sometimes. And although I already know I'm ready to go push all in, and I had made a move, and I go, oh, it's not my turn, and I remember Dominic. When I do that move, I go, oh, they're not ready for Dominic. Here it comes, and then I do it, and I just those types of things and those feelings about the city definitely has some reflection of your game, and that's everybody because we're all we're all products of our decisions, and we're also products of our environment. And so, keep your environment non-toxic, and that's how you roll, Mike. You're not a big drinker. You're not a big smoker. You're not doing anything like that. And I think that that's what makes your game edgy too, is that, you keep your sharpness there to where people realize, oh my God, this guy's making only smart decisions.
Yeah. Well, I appreciate that.
Good folds for me tonight. At least expose a couple good folds. Lay down the high ace if you don't hit your flop, and at least show your ace one time for me, or do something to show a good fold.
Show it on the table, like here.
Show the high pair fold. Tonight you'll know your high pair. A king will hit. It'll be king 10 jack, and the person's pushing all into you. You have a king with a shit kicker. Maybe we'll call it an 8, something, king 8. Just show your king and show them. I'm okay with it. That's all I'm asking. Show a good fold tonight, all right?
Yeah, fair enough. All right, man. Thanks for topping on. I appreciate it. We're gonna talk
love
again.
You, bro. Hey, guys, tune in again in the Money Podcast with Mike Gabriel. He'll be here, guys. He'll hit his goal. I know it. If you guys want any side bet action, call me. I know my man gets there. If you guys want side bets that he doesn't, let's do it. I say 3 weeks. I say 3 weeks. You're there.
3 weeks. I hit my 1K. Yeah,
I think so.
Listen, once I get the 300, then it's like fast tracks because I can turn 300 into 1,000 one sitting. But last time how I was doing it, I was taking chunks of 200, 200, 200. That way I had a bullet to fire back when I went back to the game. So if I go broke at 300, then I go back to the free rolls until I get my 300 again.
How many people are in this free roll tonight?
There'll probably be around 16 or 20.
Okay, that sounds doable.
All day. It's so doable.
And
really, I just got to get down to the last 2 because half the time the people want to chop.
There you go. Get it.
There. All right. See
I
you,
would say no chop tonight for you.
No chop. I'm getting this 300. See ya.
All right, my man. We'll talk soon. Thank you.
Bye.
All right.